This is Mr. Smith, and here's a tutorial for how to use SketchUp to build 3D models. Now, if you are using a computer in my computer lab because you happen to be one of my students, well, you don't have to download SketchUp. It's already on those computers, so you don't need to go to SketchUp.com. For people using a home computer, well, go to SketchUp.com and you'll be able to download this for free. There is a pro version, but everything I'm showing here should be doable without using the pro version. Now, if you go to SketchUp.com, you can click on Download SketchUp. You got to pick how you intend to use it. In this case, it'd be for educational use because I'm teaching and this is for my students. And I had to fill out this stuff down here and pick my operating system, but then I downloaded it for free, which was kind of nice, and I have it open here. And they give you a pro version evaluation, but nothing I'm showing today should really need the pro version to be done. So there's that. Alright, so I'm going to pick a template. I'm going to go with the simple template, feet and inches. That's all I need for this. I could pick meters if I wanted to. Whatever floats your boat. And let's start using SketchUp. Okay, now we have a bunch of tools up here. I can also scroll out to change the scale from which I'm viewing things. It starts off giving you a person right here just to give you a sense of scale, which I think is nice. And let's add some stuff. I've got a bunch of tools up here. I'm going to start with this rectangle tool here, and yes, I can use it to make squares too, but that's what it is. Okay, now right off the bat you can see that depending on how I move this, sometimes there'll be a line that appears if I line up in certain ways. You'll see it better in other things that I do, but I'm just gonna make this about that big, and that's pretty good, and it puts a default color on. I'm gonna change that later. Okay, so that was that tool, and I can do the same thing with these other tools, polygons, circles, etc. But I'm not going to skip those for now. I'm going to go right to this tool, the push-pull tool. This one's really cool. I can click on this rectangle that I've drawn. I can just pull this up. I can pull it up as high as I want. Maybe about this high would be good. Okay, now I want to add a roof to this. This is going to be a house. So I'm going to take the pencil tool here, and now we're going to see how this tends to snap to certain locations. Like I can click on any edge here. I can click in the middle if I wanted to. But right when I get to the center of this line, it sort of snaps to that and changes color. I'm going to click there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I don't have to make it go straight across, but in this case, it's helping me make sure that it does. It's being a guide, and that's pretty cool. Alright, now I'm going to move this line up, and this can be a little tricky. You don't use the extrude tool for this, because if you do, then you just have one side higher than the other, and that's not going to look like a pretty good house. So let's Control Z to make that go away. No, I'm going to use this right here. This is the move tool, and I can click on this line and I can pull it up, and pow, I have my slanted roof. Now, did I have to click in the middle of the line to do that? No, I can click on pretty much anything and drag it around, but I'm letting the guides help me out because otherwise I'm going to have this really weird looking house that doesn't quite look right. So there we go. Okay, so I have my roof. I can add some doors and windows by using this rectangle tool again. I'm going to add a door right here. That looks pretty good. And as we can see, I've got a golden section there. That applies to the golden ratio, which is, it's kind of cool, but I'm not going to bother explaining it in this particular video. I'm going to add another one over here. How about? That looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pencil tool again. I'm going to draw a horizontal line going across here, and I'm going to use that and this as my guidelines to draw a bunch of windows. Now when I put them in, they'll all have the same start and stop positions. Okay, now let's get rid of this guideline because we no longer need it. And I've got two things I could do here. I could color these windows different colors to make them stand out and be separate, or I could use this push-pull tool to actually offset these a bit, like so, and not a whole lot, just enough. There we go. Now let's get some color on this because it looks kind of plain. Let's make it look a little fancier. I'm going to use the paint bucket tool up here to apply colors or textures. If I go in to this, there's actually a whole bunch of these. I'm starting with roofing, but there's a whole bunch of different options. And you can go through all of them. You could spend an entire class period just going through them, but I'm not going to. Let's color the roof. And do I want that? I like that one. Let's go with that one. Put it on the other side here. Back to the paint bucket. Go. Oh. Yeah, that's it. And let's pick something else for the sides. Ooh, stone. Let's make our house be made out of stone masonry. And I could color these back here, but I'm going to export this as a flat image. So what's back here isn't going to be seen by anyone. I'm just going to color these spots here. Now for the windows and doors, I don't want to use the same texture. So let's see what else I can find. Ooh, we got wood textures here. I can use those for the doors. So translucent textures, I think I'll use those for the windows. But I want to have a different texture for the windowsills. Let's see what I can find for those. Let's go with colors. Go with a simple black. Put that in. See how that looks. If you're having trouble hitting a spot, just zoom in by using your scroll wheel, and you should be fine. And again, I'm not bothering to color every single spot because I know when I save this as an image file, I'm not going to have to worry about everything being visible. I'm only coloring the parts that I know will be seen. I'll admit it's somewhat lazy, but there's a lot of 3D artists out there who do the same thing to save time. Okay, now let's see if I'm happy with the angle. That looks pretty good. Let's pan. Oh, I should explain. When you are using the move tool, if you right click, you can pick which of these options you're going to be doing when you click and drag. So right now the default was orbit. I can go around like this, and that changes the angle at which I'm looking at it. If I right click, I can pick pan, and then I can click and drag it around on my screen, but the angle stays the same. The point of view stays the same, it's just placement changes. And then there's look around, walk, zoom, etc. I ignore zoom for the most part because I can do that with the scroll wheel. Okay, now there's should be more than one way to save this. I can export it as a 2D graphic and choose where to save it, and I prefer to save things as PNG files. And it looks like PNG is right here. Portable Network Graphics is what PNG stands for, so there it is. And I could hit export. Now I've saved it. Or if I wanted to be simple, I could, actually this would be more complex in this case, but I could just press print screen and then open up an image editor like GIMP and save things that way. But either way, I would have my house with its textures, its roof, its windows and doors all set to hand in for a grade. Okay, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.